think we should be live right now. Can anybody check YouTube real quick and see? Because it
Yeah,
says, yeah, live. What's going on, gentlemen? How y'all doing today?
Doing good, doing
I'm just
good.
gonna mute my mic real quick.
Damn, how come I can't find your stream?
Oh
Is
God,
is
I
Silva
named it.
streams or
It's not correctly named
you could edit, you could edit.
on TikTok. I mean Twitch, whatever.
Damn, how come I can't find
Well,
it?
Just making
Twitch
sure I
people.
can hear myself.
Oh God, I started with me looking at
Oh God,
text. It's
I
actually
named
not
it.
what I wanted to
It's not correctly named
You could
do.
edit, you could edit.
on TikTok. I mean
Anyways,
Twitch, whatever.
so yeah, today we're
Just making
together
sure I
again.
can hear myself. Oh
Oh,
God,
hold on.
it started with me looking
Some
at
of
text.
it's
It's actually not what I wanted to do. It's not
it's
correctly
Everton.
named. Can you?
It's Everton. Okay, now that's better, I think. Are you, is somebody listening through speakers by chance?
Together again. Myself. Oh
Oh,
God,
hold on.
it started with me looking
Some
at
of
text.
Said I was checking the YouTube to see if we were all coming through clearly.
Oh, could you hear us?
Yeah, but I think
I
if
can
you
hear
play
y'all.
YouTube, it comes to your audio.
It did. It did. I was just trying to do it
Oh.
quick to make sure I was also make sure I could also hear myself.
All right, so we're all
I can
back
turn my mic down
together
a little
again
bit.
today, and we wanted to talk about remakes and the state of anime and remakes. And today I am joined, as always, by my two good friends, Crispin in the top left and Blackbeard in the bottom right. Blackbeard, how you doing today?
Doing well, doing well. Another day in paradise.
Amen, amen. And how about you, Crispin?
I'm doing great. Saturday. It's a beautiful day. I'm off soon,
Is
so
it
I'm
Saturday?
looking towards to that.
It's Sunday.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure
I
it's
said
Sunday.
Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay. I wish it was
I haven't
Saturday, I
Saturday.
guess. I don't know. All the days are the same to me nowadays.
My brain told me to say. My brain said Sunday. I don't know how Saturday came out.
It's all good, man. You got Saturday brain. But yeah, I wanted to get together and talk about remakes, the good, the bad, the ugly, and what it means for people going forward. Because I think that anime is becoming even more popular now, and it's funny. A lot of people are going to watch the new Ronin Kenshin and not see, the old one or Ranma and a Half, and there's so many other ones. Um, the first one I wanted to talk about was one that I thought was done well, which was the Full Metal Alchemist remake. Um, Now, Full Metal Alchemist, they've had a few iterations. The first one came out, was it 2001 or so? When the anime, give or take, I'm probably messing up, but the manga wasn't completed, so they kind of just wrote their own ending, and then they came out with Brotherhood, and the rest is history. You guys both watched Full Metal Alchemist, correct?
Yep.
Yep, of course I did.
Do you feel like this was a good example of a good remake?
I would say so, right? It was a great anime, and they fixed what needed to be fixed because they had the manga to go off of, and you know, they didn't change anything that didn't need to be changed, and because the years weren't that far apart in terms of production, there wasn't like a big graphic change you could do, right? In terms of the quality of the graphics, I'm sure there's a little bit of a difference, but not that much. It's more about the story. So I think, yeah, a very good job. Something that I'm glad it didn't take 20, 30 years to make.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
me,
exactly. Go ahead.
it's I think it's a great remake. I'm a little I'm a weird person, so I don't know if I consider. I know it's a remake, but I don't know. I feel weird calling it a remake. Um,
So what is Hunter 2011 not a remake to you?
no. I'm not saying it's not a remake. I'm just saying I feel weird calling it a remake. Um, because to me it's kind of like a divergent or like a elseworld situation. Like The shows start off very similar. Yeah, there's a couple differences. They skip a couple things, but the paths they took were like it's like they got to a fork in the road. One went left, and one said, "I'm making my new path right. Like I'm making a new path further right than the right path." Which I loved. Like I loved, and I'm
Do
saying
you
that
remember where the
with the first
story?
show.
Do you remember where the story truly started to delineate? Because I remember Greed being different characters. Like remember, I forgot what his name was. Becomes Greed in Brotherhood, but he doesn't even Lin Shu. Alka history doesn't exist, and that whole region doesn't exist. Where the guy who becomes Greed, right? Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, if I'm remembering correctly, I think it might be these two. I'm remembering two things, and these two things might be the same point. It might be totally different points slash episodes entirely. I remember that one arc episode ish where they were dealing with that one priest who had the fake sorcerer's stone.
Yes, yes. Well, that was
And
like in the beginning.
I
Well,
feel
they,
like a
they
huge
switched that
divergence
up.
happened there.
Well, the
And
one
then when
anime
Greed was
started with
introduced.
that. That's the thing. I think the Brotherhood starts with that, whereas the other anime starts where like they're kind of like building up to that point, and that's like the fifth or sixth episode. So you're right. Like they start the story off differently for both animes.
Wait, Brotherhood starts with that.
Yeah, I feel like
Like,
Brotherhood starts with them man going after the guy who's using the fake Philosopher's Stone, whereas the
mhm.
other one starts a little bit differently, and then they make their way to that situation.
But Brotherhood doesn't. Brotherhood kind of just like goes through it, right? It doesn't
Yeah,
make
it's
it.
kind of like Hunter x Hunter, where Hunter x Hunter, you spend 20 episodes on the island in the original, and then in the new one, it's like 2 episodes on the island, and he's already doing the test. It's because they had less to flesh out with, so they just were like honing in on that one specific topic for the OG. But then the remake, it's like, oh, we got all this stuff, so we're correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that that's what happens a lot of times when you're working with little source material. That's when you get the filler aspect. And I'm not saying anything about Full Metal was filler, but we've seen that in Shonen with Bleach, Naruto, not as much as One Piece, but it's something that happens with shows that are really boisterous and grandiose.
All
Um,
right, so just I did a quick research bump.
mhm.
It diverged around episode 14. In the original Alchemist, Ed and Al meet Scar again. So they've already met Scar in the original show. They've already met Scar briefly, and they meet him again. And then this is where that huge crazy episode where Scar is fighting the Alchemist in the hall in the alleyway. You guys remember that?
Yes.
And then it goes into Scar's backstory, and then that becomes a thing. Scar's backstory is a major focal point from that point. Brotherhood, Ed, Allen, Winry go to that's when they just get to Central and Scar fights King Bradley. So that's where the big
Yes.
divergence is. It's like you have the Alchemist fight Scar lose, and then you have Bradley himself fight Scar, and you know how that goes. And then Ling Yao was his name was introduced with around those episodes. So yes, so it was that's where the big divergence happened.
Interesting. Um, but so you just feel like it's not as much of a remake because of
No,
their.
I just feel weird calling it a remake because of how
I
divergent it is.
think
To me, it's weird. It's weird to, and this is me thinking from like a creator's standpoint. It's interesting to me to call it a remake when it follows the original manga more closely.
well, okay.
I'm not saying it's not a
No,
remake.
no, no,
I'm
no,
not
no.
arguing that.
So
It's
it's
just
it's
weird.
funny because the one I don't like, which we'll get to later, kind of embodies this because it follows the manga better, but I still didn't like it more.
Mhm.
So, okay. So what was a good remake that you liked? Blackbeard. We haven't heard from you in a while. What was a remake? We know. I think that was the one I can't ask you because it's gonna convert. Everton. What was the remake that you liked? No, you liked Devilman, didn't you?
Devilman Crybaby.
Yeah. Okay. So CQ. What was the Blackbeard? What was the anime that you thought was a good remake?
I like Legends of the Galactic Heroes. I think that was one where there was a big time lapse. I think the original was probably like in the 80s, if I'm right, to the new one. So you got a graphic update, but the story is pretty much the same story. It's almost an episode by episode reproduction. But I just think it's just such a great story that it was just needed a nice HD update, and they did a really good job. Good Miracle Young.
Yeah, I haven't watched the OG, and like it was funny because I think we both looked it up and we're like, oh, let's maybe we could do this, and we saw how many episodes there were. We're like, I don't know if this is something we can do. Um,
1988 was when the original one came out.
and like, don't get me wrong, it looks decent. I just know one, I don't think it's dubbed, so the voice act is probably gonna be really tough for me. And then like, look at this. I don't think I'm gonna be able to go back and watch the old one. So I can't speak to what the differences are. All I can say is, right, the remake. I don't know, Crispin, have you watched any of the remake? Have you watched any of this?
I started. I believe I maybe got like 8 episodes in. Liked what I saw so far. Just didn't. At the you know my life, bro.
It's
I
it's very
have so
word
many
heavy.
shows to catch up on. It's very hard for me to keep up with a show that I have to give, which is a
I,
bad thing
I
to say,
get it.
but it's very hard for
It
me to keep up
is
with a show I have to give full attention to.
it's a very plot driven, a little bit of action, a lot of political intrigue, a lot of backdoor conversations. So it's like if it's something, if you're looking for something that's gonna grab you by the ears, this isn't it, because it's a lot of like you learning about the characters and what their motives are. But I don't know if I've seen an anime come closer to Game of Thrones as far as political intrigue as this one. Like the decisions that they've made for the greater good at times. Like I remember me and Blackbeard watching, and like they pretty much offed an entire planet just because it was just like, nah, we got this is what we need to do in order for us to like invade this. And it was just like art of war, man. And I don't know if I've seen a better show that encompasses what it's like from both sides. Because
Did
CQ,
they
can you?
destroy the
Sorry,
planet, or did they just like wipe out life on the planet?
no, they destroyed that shit.
But it does.
Blackbeard, can you
Okay.
give him a little bit of like give him a little information because since Crispin hasn't watched, can you explain the two sides? I forgot exactly the names of the sides. Um, and
It's the blah, blah, blah.
I'm trying to find that for us.
Yeah, but it's the same, it's between the
It's the Galactic
Galactic
Empire.
Empire
There
and
you
the
go.
Free Planets Alliance. There's always, the Empire who wants to keep it, under like oligarchy rule, and then the Free Planets Alliance who wants a little bit more free world
More
democracy
democratic.
situation,
Yep.
more democratic. And then there's like another, alliance or group who's just like the money behind everything. So it's a big space opera with a lot of different things going on, and it's just about who gets the power over the people, power, money, resources. The same story has been told many times. This is based off of a novel series. I think there's 10 novels, and it says to be one of the best space novels ever written in the 80s. And I think that's why it's just so deep and thick. And it's definitely it's not the easiest watch because you got to really pay attention. But once you catch the flow of what's going on, very Game of Thrones esque. And if you like good world building, good big galactic battles, I don't think there's anybody who's gonna have so many ships in one battle.
Oh, dude, the amount of ships. I think you would like it, Crispin, but definitely would be something that like once you've cleared your queue, I don't see you ever watching it, unfortunately, just because you're so behind on so many things that like I don't know if you'll ever have the time. And I understand
It's
that, but
it's
it's
in
a
my
good show.
retirement bucket.
When you're 65, got it.
Oh no, but I'm retiring by 45.
Amen, brother. Amen. I'm with you on that one. All right, so those are two really good picks. And of course, I did give myself a compliment by complimenting Full Metal Alchemist. Crispin, what was a remake that you felt was really, really good?
So I'm gonna talk about my number one pick, which you mentioned earlier, Devilman Crybaby. I'm also gonna point out that I kind of put my foot in my mouth because Devilman Crybaby is the almost exact same situation as Full Metal, where the quote unquote remake followed the manga extremely more closely than the original show. The original show came out in the 80s and it was essentially made for kids. Um,
This was not.
this was absolutely not. Um, but I really enjoyed it, and the aspect of it that I say is a remake is because it was updated for the times. You know what I mean? There's cell phones, there's social media, there's idols. So you know what I mean, like K-pop idols. There's those things that are part of the plot that help drive the story.
BlackBeard, your camera, by the way. Sorry.
So it was
Go
more
ahead,
faithful to
Crispin.
the original. It was more faithful to the original manga. I love that it was modernized. The best thing is the art style. This show, what year did this come out?
It's probably like 2020 or something like that. Maybe early
Essentially,
2019.
this was around the time of what I like to call the new renaissance of anime artwork. Because you know, like in the 90s and 2000s, pretty much everybody had the same or similar art style. We had few divergences. We had minor differences, but for the most part, animation art style in anime was fairly the same. Um, we saw this kind of change.
Great eye. Going on.
And from what I read about
Mhm.
Yeah, sorry, I'm black.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So Mhm, mhm.
That remind me. This is different. Um, what's the name? Yeah, so they were like,
Yeah, white members.
it's expanded.
Great.
What's going on? I think
Mhm.
yeah. Wow, yeah. Oh my God, that's a little bit back. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I get your point. It's not
So
how much research did you do? No,
No, I think
correctly. Everybody. Because research, so one like this, somebody will come on this video. Correct. I don't do or remix me from the story. Anybody who read that. So that's all I ever hear about. So I think it was the third season.
No.
Oh, Full Metal. Enjoy. I think just me.
That's what made
I'm sure. Today, even though I do. Mappa was killing. didn't know you.
I was born. Simple. Putting the movies in theaters as well this year. Check those out.
I'll be honest with you, I'm fucking tired of Demon Slayer. What? Like, didn't they already drop a trailer? Like, just
No,
drop the goddamn
they
movie already.
the trailer they dropped was just them showing clips from the end of the last episode.
Ufotable, count your fucking days.
Check the
Anyways.
trailer. Check the trailer, bro. It looks
Yeah,
amazing.
it looks stuck.
I don't doubt that it looks great, but it's just like they've been like riding the hype of them. Like, I just don't like that they went to movies. Like, I really don't like. And I'm watching Lord of the Mysteries. Like, I want Donwa to fucking put that pressure on manga's ass, bro. I'm so glad. I'm so glad China's coming into the fray with atomic bombs. Like, yo, look, this is what we're doing for a TV show. Y'all want to do movies and charge people out the ass to go watch a movie, but we doing this shit on TV.
I mean,
And
it's
it's
the
like,
same thing. It's the same thing Attack on Titan did.
I don't. The thing with Attack on Titan, and granted, I did not like that they did it either. Like, I'm not over here championing the fact that they did 3 fucking movies. I hated that shit. But I I felt that the way that Demon Slayer's doing this is just bad pacing on their part. Like, they did not tell the story. From my perspective, it's like, so you didn't want to do 2 more seasons. So you chopped it up into 3 movies so that people have to go to watch a fucking movie in a movie theater. And it's like, I get it. You can charge more, you can use more money for the production. But after watching Lord of the Mysteries, the money's there to fucking get the shit done. Y'all just being cheap pieces of shit. It pisses me off. I'm sorry. Like, solo leveling, these donwas and manhwas are putting pressure on the manga, and I'm very interested to see how Gachi Akita plays out, because everybody's swearing Gachi Akita is going to be great, and I do believe it's going to be great. It's supposedly the next big shonen manga, but it's like, if it doesn't come close to Lord of the Mysteries as far as animation and feel, Japan's in fucking trouble, dude. They're in big trouble because a lot of the bigger shows nowadays are Korean and Chinese. The Be Hero X is huge, Chinese. I don't know. I just hope Japan gets this shit together, because Blackbeard was telling me, they, instead of putting more money into the animation, they're just using slave labor. Like, the animators are fucking dying because of how, I don't know. Sorry, that was my
No,
rant.
I get where you come from. I prefer, me personally. I prefer a 2 hour movie over a stretched out 12 episodes.
I can't sit down and watch
Especially
anything
at
for 2 hours.
especially at the end of the story, because I want to. You know me. I'm a completionist. I like to complete stories. I don't. If the core is not complete, I feel very weird. So
How many movies are gonna come out, Everton? How many
I'm pretty
movies?
sure it's. I'm pretty sure it's this movie and one more movie, or 2 more movies, and that's it.
I was gonna say it's at least 3, from my understanding. Which is just around Attack on Titan's territory. And I said, like, I did not like that I had to watch movies to finish my favorite show. It's the reason why I didn't finish it until like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Damn.
But what is it? 3 more?
It is, yeah. So after this movie, Infinity Castle, there are 2 more.
You're telling me you could have
There's
made
3
me
in total.
1 more season? Like, you couldn't have done 1 more season. That's 3 movies that are probably going to be at least 2 hours each. That's a core and a half. That's 16 episodes, 14 episodes. But because you want to force people to go to the movies, I get it. It's the merch. It's all that stuff. I get it. This is why I'm not
I
a
mean,
Demon Slayer fan. What? Go ahead.
that's like 12 episodes.
Okay, that's a season. That's a full season. I don't get your point.
Well, remember they used to have like 24 episode seasons.
I mean,
I get
I
where
get
you're
your
coming
point.
from.
I get your
I
point.
get. I just. I rather clear a clear, quick. Because that's the thing. Demon Slayer's story isn't that insane. Like it's a good story, but it's not
But you
that
do realize
insane.
then, but all right. You're right. You're right that the story isn't insane, but like the issue I'm taking with them making movies is that now they get 2.5 years to do another movie. And then 2.5 years. You just talked about closure and wanting to finish stories, Everton. Well, you're not
Yeah.
gonna finish, you're gonna get closure on One Piece before you get closure on Demon Slayer because they want to do movies.
Yeah, I get that.
That's all I have to say. I got it. I get that from Crispin. I think that's time for me to go. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Sunday. I hope you guys watched the last episode of Lazarus and also take a look at Lord of the Mysteries. Follow me, like, and subscribe because I am now the fool, and you can follow me for a weekly dose of Lord of the Mysteries. I am in my Sequence 9 and Path of the Sleepless. Until next time.